Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about the software engineering practice. We all know that a software engineering is a systematic way of creating the software and also developing the necessary documents. And here let us see what is then software engineering practice? It consists of a collection of concepts, principles, methods, and tools that a software engineer calls upon on a daily basis. That means when you start developing a software, it will take months or years together to complete the project. So every day they have to find out the what is the principle they are going to practice, what are the methods they are going to use, the tools, everything has to be just collected on everyday basis so that they can keep on having a systematic practice of software engineering. Equips the managers to manage software projects and software engineers to build computer programs. So here the managers should be equipped with the efficiency so that they can manage the software projects, and the software engineers how to build the computer programs efficiently, and provides necessary technical and management how to get the job done. So let it be the concern about the time basis or the efficiency basis or whatever the efficiency factor, the software engineer should be able to provide the necessary technical and the management capacity to get the job done in a proper way. So let us see what are the essence of practice. So first of all, the problem should be understood first. Understand the problem, that is communication and analysis. The developer and the customer has to communicate, has have a better communication and to analyze the what is the nature of the problem and how the problem is going to support the customer, and who has a stake in the solution to the problem. Actually that means who is really going to be benefited by the problems solution, what are all the unknowns, and what data function behavior are required to properly solve the problem. So they should know what type of data they need, what functionality has to be given, if at all that data is applied and the function is used on those data, what is the behavior of the project or the product. So that should be well analyzed before starting the product process. And can the problem be compartmentalized? What does it mean is it able to develop the problem in a divide and conquer method? That means you have to be able to divide the process into sub process, so that is called compartment. You have divided into different modules. Okay, so first of all you should analyze how much the problems can be independently divided into many modules. Is it possible to represent the smaller problems that may be easier to understand? So having divided the problems into smaller sub problems, it should be clearly defined what each sub problem is really meant to convey the customer or the developer. So that is the dividing into the smaller problems that can be specified in an easy language to understand what is the problem nature. Can the problem be represented graphically? Can analysis model be created? So here when represented anything in a graphical manner, it is easy to follow the concepts and the flow of the process. So you should analyze whether it is able to represent the problem in a graphical manner, and also can analysis model be created. That means like can are we able to develop a prototype of the model so that we can analyze the behavior of the product. So that is all about the understanding the problem nature. So next is the planning the solution. Here planning, modeling, and software design. Having communicated between the developer and the customer, the problem is well understood, and now we have to plan for the solution. So the solution consists of planning. So here the plan may be the schedule of the work, or how much the staff can be how much the staff can be utilized, and how much the process can be implemented, and whether it can be done using the models, because models helps to learn the analysis of the process in an easier way. Okay, so now have you seen similar problems like this before? So if at all there is a problem of similar type earlier, we can compare the functionality of the previously available problems of this type, and if the same problem has been solved earlier, if that is the solution available, can we use it? There is a reusability of the solution, because we can just reduce the processing time by reusing the earlier components. So that is the process of reusability. And then can subproblems be defined and are solutions available for the subproblems? So we should be able to divide the problems into similar subproblems so that I will be able to find the solution for those problems. Okay, so next is the carrying out the plan. So how to carry out the plan? This is consists of construction and code generation. So here construction always consists of the design. The design may be this may be an abstract design or a detailed design. So that is the architectural design. So does the solution conform to the plan? Is the source code traceable back to the design? So we should be able to follow a design so that we'll be able to code for the design and we'll be able to find out the source code from the design. So it should be traceable between the design and the source code. Is each component of the solution correct? Has the design and the code be reviewed or better? So when we are dividing into subproblems, we should find out the solution of each subproblem is correct, and then has the design or the code can be reviewed. We can each time the review will help you to analyze the problem better. Okay, and then the fourth is the examine the results for accuracy, testing and quality assurance. There are some quality standards are there, so we have to assure with the standard quality, and how to assure this quality by testing the product. So is it possible to test each component of the solution? Has a reasonable testing strategy has been implemented? So we have to find out how the testing can be done individually. That is called as an unit testing in software engineering concept. Does the solution produce results that conform to the data, function and behavior that are required? And then has the software been validated against all the stakeholders' requirement? Because stakeholders are the customers who are going to use the product. So we have to check the validation against the requirements of all the stakeholders, because each stakeholders have different opinions and it should be validated against each stakeholders. And next is, let us see about the core principles of software engineering. There are 7 core principles of the software engineering, and most important are the 7 other principles. So one is, remember the reason that the software exists. The software should provide value to its users and satisfy the requirements. Next one is, keep it simple. All design and implementation should be as simple as possible so that the customer can easily follow the manual to use the product efficiently. And then maintain the vision of the project. A clear vision is essential to the project's success. So before you start the project, you should be able to have a clear vision on how the project is going to be developed and what is the purpose of the project. So if you maintain this vision of the project, we can have a successful project development. Next one is, others will consume what you produce. So always specify, design and implement knowing that someone else will later have to understand and modify what you did, because the software product or process is a long time process. Once a team of people develop the process, and they may have the specification, design and analysis and the coding, and after that some future enhancements, maintenance may be required, always required in the software design. And here the other people who join the team later should be able to understand what is the process being that has happened earlier and how to proceed with that point of process. So, and also they should be able to modify based upon the necessity of the, that is like a future enhancement. We call it as an adaptation or an maintenance. Okay, so now next is, be open to the future. Never design yourself into a corner. Build a software that can be easily changed and adapted. So the software should be always be easily changeable and adaptable. So here, what is adaptable is to the environment, maybe the technology development or based upon the organization rules or regulations. So that is the nature of this adapting to the environment. And then plan ahead for software reuse. Reuse of software reduces the long-term cost and increases the value of the program and the reusable components. So here we have the concept of component off the shelf. So here the components are already built, because we are having a large application where many components have been done earlier in the previous processes. We can reuse those components. That is the main aim of this object oriented concept of programming. So we can reuse by the inheritance technique, we can reuse the software components that had been developed earlier in the process. So this will reduce the long-term cost and also the increases the value of the program. And here next one is think and then act. Placing clear complete thought before action will almost always produce the better results. And then let us see the types of practices. Here the types of practices, we have the communication practice, planning practice, modeling practice, construction practice, testing practice, and deployment practice. These are all the phases of the software development: communication, planning, modeling, construction, testing, and deployment. So every phase should have a clear practice on how to make each and every phase successful. Let us see one by one. This is the flow diagram. So communication has project initiation, requirements gathering. That is the planning of the project. What you are going to achieve by the project and what are all the necessary requirements for that project. That is called as project initiation and requirements gathering. These two are the parts of the communication. Next is planning, estimating, scheduling, and tracking. So you have to plan for the process and you have to estimate the resources, the staff, and the finance and everything for the process development, and also the schedule. That is the milestone we are going to reach for each and every part of the process development. And then track. Are we able to achieve the goal in an efficient manner in a particular milestone, the specific timings? That is the tracking. Okay, so now next one is modeling. In modeling we have analysis and design. We analyze what we are done in the requirement gathering and we are going to design the product. Okay, so design here consists of all the techniques and tools that is used in the software engineering techniques to develop the process flow and the data flow of the particular software process development. And next one is the construction. This is the coding and the testing process. So once you analyze and design the model, will be able to construct the code. That means you are able to write the code in any specific language. You start coding the programs, and once you code the program, we can make it we can just send the process to the testing phase. So here the testing phase are unit testing and module testing, and then also integration testing. So unit testing is all the sub problems which has been divided will be tested individually to be correct, and it works for all the cases of the input. That is called as an unit testing. And then when the modules are combined to form a sub problem, there we have the integration testing. And finally all the modules are combined to confirm the system testing. And finally it will go for the acceptance testing by the user who is going to use the product. And then finally deployment, delivery, support, and feedback. So once the product is coded and it is tested successfully, it can be deployed in the user environment. And once it is successfully deployed, so it is delivered to the customer, and we can have the support and the feedback. So the support may be for some period of time till the user they are used with the use of the software. And finally the feedback, after using for a period of time, they may give some feedback about their conveniences or inconveniences they come across while using the product, and based on the feedback the developer will be able to produce the necessary changes based on the feedback given by the user. So here, so what are the communication practices? Listen to the speaker and concentrate on what is being said. Prepare before you meet by researching and understanding the problem. So here, before you meet the particular person, we'll be able to first do a research on how to understand the problem nature and what are the requirements. Someone should facilitate the meeting and have an agenda. So always have a plan on what you are going to, on what is the agenda, what is the plan we are going to have for the process development. And face-to-face communication is best because also have a document or presentation to focus the discussion. So while the communication goes in progress, better to have a documentation where we can make a note on what are all the things being discussed in the communication. So always the face-to-face communication gives the best results. And then take notes and document decisions, and strive for collaboration and consensus. Here the collaboration here among the team members, you are going to develop the project, and the agreement from the user or the customer. And stay focused on a topic, modelize your discussion. And then if something is unclear, draw a picture, because pictorial presentation always give a clarity of thought, and then move on the next topic. So after you agree to something, if you cannot agree to something, or if a feature or a function is unclear and cannot be clarified at the moment, so here suppose, and we can move to the next topic based upon the various situations, whether you agree upon something or not agree upon something. And then negotiation is not a contest or a game. It works best when the both parties win. So we have to negotiate on the terms between the customer and the developer, maybe on the scheduling, the timings, or based upon the amount of the finance they are going to invest, or how they are going to charge for the particular project. And the next, the planning principles. Understand the scope of the project, involve the customer in planning activities. Here, once the developers start doing the program, they can just involve the customer on the planning activity. So before they start the really develop the software, they in the planning phase itself, they can involve the customers activity, so that they can have more discussion about on how the project can move. Recognize that planning is iterative, things will change, because once you plan, after a point of time you'll be able to recognize something might not be done better, so we can reiterate the plan and we can do the things better. Estimate based on only what you know. Here the estimate based upon the time, how long it will take, and how many personnel are needed, and how much what the technology can be used, and what is the amount can be invested. So everything should be based upon the knowledge we already acquire. Consider risk as you define the plan. So always there will be risk in any process, so always you have to plan for the risk, where that may be in terms of time or finance. And be realistic on how much can be done each day by each person and how well. So here, when you assign the work for a team member, we should be able to realize how much each person, that is the programmer, can do the project, that is the how much can be done by each person, and how well each one can do, because some may be good at testing and some may good in coding. So how well the process can move it. Okay, and then adjust granularity as you define the plan. So actually granularity is actually we have divide the process into some pieces of modules or sub modules, and that sizes can be changed according to the plan we have. Define how you intend to ensure the quality, and then describe how you intend to accommodate the changes, and track the plan frequently and make adjustments as required. So we always supposed to track the plan, so that we can any adjustments can be added in the planning phase itself. Then modeling practices in the analysis phase. The information domain of a problem, the data that flows in and out of a system must be represented and understood. There we have the tool called data flow diagram. So what data comes in and what data goes out, and how the data flows in between the modules, that should be clearly defined and understood and defined. The functions that are the software performs must be defined. The behavior of the software must be represented. And then the models that depict the information, function, and behavior must be partitioned in a manner that uncovers detail in a layered fashion. Because when you model the things in a hierarchical fashion, it will be easy to follow the flow of the information. That may be a function of the behavior. The layered approach will always helps to analyze the things better. The analyst task should move from essential information towards the implementation detail. And then in the design, we have design should be traceable to the analysis model. Always consider the software architecture of the system to be built. Design of data is as important as design of the processing function. So here we design the framework of the process, the data flow, everything. So design of data is also very important as based equal to the functions, because the data, what data structure we are going to use, what is the type of data we are going to use, which data will suit the particular application. So that all should be planned in advance, that in the design phase. So designing of data is equally important as the design of the process. Then interfaces. So here interfaces both the internal and the external, that should be designed with the care. User interface design should be tuned to the needs of the end user, and they should stress the ease of the use, because the user interface designed in such a way that it is an user friendly, so that they can enjoy doing the work. When they start using the product, they will be they'll be enjoy using the project or the product. And component level design should be functionally independent, high cohesion. So here we have the concept of cohesion and coupling. When you design the component, each component should have a well defined function. So there should be, the functions will be relatively dependent on each other, so that we can define the model, that is the high cohesion. Components should be loosely coupled to one another and to the external environment. So between the models is called coupling, and inside the model is called as an cohesion. Okay, and then design representations models should be easily understandable, and then design should be developed iteratively. With each iteration, designer should strive for greater simplicity. And finally, the construction practice. Here we have two sections, before coding and after coding. So understand the problem you are trying to solve, understand the basic design principles and concepts, pick a programming language that meets the needs of the software to be built and environment in which it will operate. Select a programming environment that provides tools that will make your work easier. Create a set of unit tests that will be applied once the component you code is completed. So once you develop a single component, test it by the individually each component, and then we can go for the integration testing. So when the coding begins, constrain your algorithm by following the structured programming practices. So here the algorithms are the step-by-step instructions to be followed to develop your program. So we have to constrain the algorithm as we follow the structured programming practices. And select the data structures that will meet the needs of the design, understand the software architecture and create the interfaces that are consistent with it. Keep conditional logic as simple as possible. So here when you use the conditional logic, like when you are using the, based on some conditions, we have like we are having multiple case statements, if statements, nested if statements, or all those things. So make it very simple, not to be complicated. Create nested loops in a way that makes them easily testable. Select meaningful variable names and follow other local coding standards. Here variable names are very important when you are writing the software, when you are writing a large number of codes. So here we are supposed to use a meaningful variable name so that the readability of the software will be perfect. Write the code that is self-documenting. So here actually what is self-documenting? It will be it should be clear while reading the statement itself. That is called self-documenting. Create a visual layout, indentation and blank lines that aids code understanding. So always follow the indentation rule, because like example is when you are writing a for loop, the block of lines which comes under the for loop should be placed little bit to the right of this for loop. Likewise, the indentation creates a visual layout so that it will be easy to understand the logic of the program. And then finally, conduct a code walkthrough. Once you complete writing the code, have a code walkthrough. What is code walkthrough is top to bottom, you just go through the code how it has been done, and we can also just test the component wise the code, how the code is built. Perform unit test, black box and white box, and correct the errors you have uncovered. So black box is all about the functionality and white box is all about the path testing. And finally, refactor the code. And then once the coding is done, we have to go for a testing practices. So here we have various type of testing. So all tests should be traceable to the software requirements. We have unit testing, integration testing, validation testing, and system testing. So exhaustive testing is not possible. So always go for testing unit by unit, and once the unit are perfectly done, we can go for an integration unit testing, which is the combination of a few components to give the correct results. And finally, check for the validation, and that is the acceptance by the user. And finally, the whole system, how it is operatable, that is called as a system testing. So that's all the software engineering practices, and thanks for watching.